KC3ZUQ, listening.
Hello, good morning, M7CCS.
KC3ZUQ, listening.
This is Mike 7, Charlie Sierra, in the Wales Ragchew Net. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call for 5 check-ins, pass it round those 5 check-ins, and then try and call for another 5. So, yeah, that's not gone to plan. Of course, yeah, there is a live stream going out. And of course, yeah, I may have blocked the audio out there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see who would like to check in. I can see in Echolink, we have got James 20 Victor Whiskey Juliet. So what I'll do is I will put that in, if I'm in the right place. Yeah, I'm changing things around. Right, so I will put that in, and that is 2E0 Victor Whiskey Juliet. So I've got you in there, James, straight away. If anyone else would like to check in, go ahead with your call sign, name and location.
Whiskey Alpha 5, Romeo India Papa, Michael in Lebanon, Tennessee, United States of America, checking into the Wales Ragchew Net.
Yeah, thanks very much there, Michael. Whiskey Alpha 5, Romeo in Papa. In the log, right, if anyone would like to be number 4, go ahead with your call sign, name and location.
KC3ZUQ, John, Northeastern Pennsylvania, America.
Okay, I think that was KC3CUQ, and I think it was John. It might not be right, but listen out for me when I do call once I've got this check-in. I'll put that in. If you'd like to be number 5 into the Wales Ragchew Net, go ahead with your call sign, name and location.
Here you go, W.D.R.G. Evening, Chris. Perhaps you can, you're back, and I wouldn't think you can notice it, but, yeah, I guess you had a bit of a catastrophe last week with the power outage. I'm wondering how my signal's coming through, because I've actually bought the right data, so I'm on the boat via satellite tonight. Hey.
Yeah, Mike 7, Charlie Sierra. Well, yeah, there is that saying, you're only as good as you're coming in. I'm sure that the internet is fully fine, but the audio coming through was a little bit muffled there, and on the live stream. But then again, I've not used the audio I'm using at the minute for the live stream for a while there. Even I was high there. So I've pulled the live stream audio back just a little bit. Yeah, I'm sure you'll be able to pull your audio back for the next one. But signal-wise, it didn't seem to drop. So we will go round to Michael, Whiskey Alpha 5, Romeo India Papa.
Thank you, Chris. This is Whiskey Alpha 5, Romeo India Papa, and it's good to hear you back, Chris. I hope that you got over all the problems you had last week. Sounds like you had a massive blackout over there, both power and internet and everything else that keeps you in touch with the rest of the world. But glad to have you back. Good to hear your voice. Welcome back, Stephen. I would say on my end, you were a little muffled or staticky, what I don't know what you'd exactly call it, but it's still good to see you, good to hear from you. We are having our springtime weather. It's fairly warm today, but we're having storms come in. They're flowing in from the Gulf, so we're going to have some rain storms on and off the rest of the weekend. Still look forward to that because it really shakes up my dog and makes her want to go hide someplace. But anyway, we're looking forward to a good net today, and then we'll be back to the normal time for me anyway, because we changed our clocks ahead 2 to 3 weeks ago, and so for me this is an hour later than it normally is, but next week I'll be back on the right time as far as my buying goes, so I'll see you at the right proper time for me next weekend. So I'll turn it back to you, Chris, and we'll get ready for the rest of the net. Whiskey Alpha 5, Romeo India Papa.
Yeah, Mike 7, Charlie Sierra, thanks very much there, Michael. And of course, yeah, the clock changed there. And of course, yeah, with everything going on, I didn't know if it was forward or backwards, but I did get some clarification earlier. So, yeah, when I wrote it wrong, hi. But it's all good there. So we'll go round there to the station. I may not have heard it properly. I was getting it in via cqnorthwest. So that's the KC3CUQ, and I believe it may be John. I might be totally wrong, but I'm sure you'll correct me. Over to you there.
Just a little wrong. This is Kilo Charlie 3, Zulu, Uniform, Quebec, and it is John, and I'm in northeastern Pennsylvania, America. Like Michael, we've had a fantastic day today. I think spring is finally breaking out. I was into the 70s, or lower 70s, which I think is around 20 C for you folks over in Britain. But it was an absolutely beautiful day, and got outside to do some work, you know, in the yard and the garden and so on. But yeah, I just happened to hear you folks on last week, so I tuned in today just to see what was going on. I didn't catch the proper name of the net. I got Wales, but that was about it. So I'm going to send it back to you. This is Kilo Charlie 3, Zulu, Uniform, Quebec.
Yeah, thanks very much there, and I'm glad for that delay on the live stream there, because even though you repeated it at the end there, James, yep, that gave me the clarification, but I'd already listened again on my live stream to get that call sign correct. So, yeah, I've now got it as Kilo Charlie 3, Zulu, Uniform, Quebec, John, so got you in there. So, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to call and I'm going to see if anybody else would like to join in with the Wales Ragchew Net. If you would, go ahead with your call sign, name and location.
GW5VOG, Steve here in Penarth in South Wales. Welcome back, Chris, and background to you.
Yeah, GW5VOG, and me log this. Even though I've had you programmed in like that for a long time, but I'll just stick Steve next to it because we know it's you as our timeout king. So yeah, GW5VOG. So yeah, I've got that all correct. So good to hear from you there, Steve. And I've got you in the log. So if anyone else would like to check in, go ahead with your call sign, name and location.
G0UZ, Rod in Cambridge.
Mike 7, Charlie Sierra, yep, you come up absolutely fine now, Rod. But, yeah, it's all good. G0UZ. But Steve, yeah, just for reference, you come through the dashboard properly. It's all good there. I'm sure if I go and click on the little QRZ actually, yeah, it comes up as Steve. Yeah, well, ID database anyway. So, yeah, it's given the right name and everything through that call sign now. I've got Rod. So if anyone would like to be number 7 into the Wales Ragchew Net, go ahead with your call sign, name and location. Okay, so we've got everyone. No, we have got some loyal members there that have now checked in. So we've got Steve, so we go around to Steve first, then we go around to Rod, then we go to the top of the list, back up to James in Echolink, and hopefully sorted his audio out. So round to you there, Steve, GW5, VOG.
GW5 VOG returning. Yeah, as I said, welcome back, Chris. We missed you last week. We did speak for about half an hour, a few of us. So we didn't totally abandon the net last week. And yeah, so did I just hear you say that refer to the live stream? I thought there wasn't one tonight. Maybe I misread that somewhere. I'm sat here. I think I mentioned 2 weeks ago, maybe. Oh no, I think it was on Sutty's net. More recent than that. I had terrible backache, but it's got worse and worse. So every now and again, the small of my back is locking up, and I can hardly move without agonising pain. So I've just got it a little bit now. So I'm in a bit of a state because I haven't got my glasses. I've left them somewhere. Sat in my lounge and without screaming and shouting in pain, but there we are. I'll persevere. So M7CCS from GW5 VOG in a group. Back to you, Chris.
Yeah, Mike 7, Charlie Sierra, yeah, well, so of course, yeah, at the last minute there was no start to it, no countdown timer like normal, but of course, yeah, I've been putting it off because I changed it all to a radio, and then I took that radio out, and then, yeah, I've not had the time to put the radio back in and put the system back in, and then I was like, well, I didn't delete the way that I used to get the audio, though it be a little bit delayed and it causes a little bit of a delay in the live stream. So yeah, the audio goes out via cqnorthwest Twitch, so I've got the audio from there where it used to come from. Yeah, I literally clicked it. The live stream was, it was pretty much as it was ready to go when I was ready to come back, and then didn't come back. Of course, yeah, we've got the main things on there. When I booted up the live stream, it was kind of like, yeah, there's a slideshow going there, the tribute. So, of course, yeah, that's just going. And the important thing, the Norbrack Hotel, the rally, that's on there as well. So, of course, yeah, it's showing that like we normally do coming up towards the rally as well. And, of course, yeah, we'll soon get that rally on the 13th of April. And of course the things before, the day before as well. So we go right to Rod, G0, EUZ.
G0, EUZ, returning to the group. Yes, good evening everybody. Nice to catch up with you all. Sorry to hear about that's most upsetting. I know what it's like. I recently had a back problem, but I think that was just made it difficult to bend, that's all. But otherwise it's not been bad. Yeah, not done a great deal. Today The weather's, it's been fine, but it's been quite cold. And you're quite a strong, stiff, cold breeze, you know, so it's not been a nice day all told. So I have actually been out some bobs, but not sort of worked in a radio. The idea was to try and get the radio that I'm taking away with us at Easter week sorted, and yeah, I've done that, so we just need to charge up the batteries and we're away then. So back to you, Chris, M7CCS G0EUZ.
Yeah, Mike 7, Charlie Sierra, yeah, thanks very much for that. Yeah, sat down and I've realised, of course, I played with a little project this afternoon, so I managed to get a 3.5-inch screen, which goes straight onto the header of a Raspberry Pi. So I was thinking ham clock. Yeah. Of course, yeah, I'm using the original image that I built my ham clock on. And of course, yeah, the screen blanks, and of course, yeah, I never use it with a screen. I've always remoted into it from a computer, that sort of thing. Yeah, I have to do a strange thing. It does display, it does all work, but I have to open the internet browser and remote into it, and then it works. But the problem I've got is a screen blank issue. Yeah, I get a screen blank issue, and it's meant to be a touch screen. Now, I'm not too upset that the touch isn't working, because obviously, yeah, it's giving me the same image and whatever. But I say ham clock, it's loaded, and I've got my call sign, I've got the time, I've got the date, and I've got UTC next to it, but none of the other information that you get with ham clock. So it is working as a little tiny clock. Yeah, that's enough of that little project. Of course, I think I'm going to have to reload a new version on to a card, then do yeah, the SSH in, then build ham clock, and build it with that little screen. And hopefully, yeah, it will work. Yeah, we will. What we do is we will go to the top of the list, like we said. We're going to go to Echolink, and we're going to James 2E0 Victor Whiskey Juliet.
Victor Whiskey Juliet. Hopefully the audio is coming through a little bit better now. I've done a few adjustments, so it'll be interesting to hear how I'm sounding. Yeah, good to hear everybody on, and the weather, like you say, Rob, it's trying to be spring here in England, but there's a bit of a cold wind from the north, but I think that's a bit of a glitch if the forecast is to go by. I think it's going to turn warmer again, which would be very nice. It's certainly that cold wind takes it, spoils it, should we say. And yeah, I've got some friends that they're English and they live in France, but they sort of recently bought a house over in the UK with the thought of moving back. And they haven't been away. I saw them at Christmas and then haven't been away. They're just back again this month, so I said, oh, shall we meet up? And they said, oh, yeah, we can do this weekend. So I've been chasing around like fury. The internet's got busy with orders. Trying to do next Monday's work, Tuesday, I forget which. Considering that I'm going to be entertaining them for a little while. I usually take people out on the boat when they visit. It's they can chug along and pass the pub and stuff, and it is usually quite pleasant, to say the least. But I've been speaking around like that, and I don't know time goes so fast. I think I've spent too much time in Spain lazing around, and now I'm busy. It's a bit of a shock to the system. Anyway, good to hear you back on, Chris. I'm glad everything's okay. I didn't quite hear what happened. I think it was a pack at your end, but I don't know quite how or why. Be curious to understand, to know. And Steve at the back, I suffer quite a bit with sciatica, and the anti-inflammatories can help. The ibuprofen is quite handy, but otherwise sometimes you just have to take it steady, and it's a tricky one because you've got to sort of keep moving, but on the other hand you need to rest it as well. And I'll be running to Chris from 20 DWG.
Yeah, Mike 7, Charlie Sierra. Yeah, last week, all ready to go, and we did have a power cut at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. So we had a power cut then, followed by the internet. They took that out as well. And then followed by the cell tower. By the time it was coming up to Ragchew. So yeah, it didn't work. Decided, yeah, cancel the Ragchew, cancelled it all. Went off, FT70 started chirping. Didn't hear you, my gateway, James. So, of course, and the guys came on, they had a little bit of a chat. I think that was Rod, Steve, Michael, and yourself. Yeah, it was all good there. Right, what we're going to do now, we're going to go around to Michael, Whiskey Alpha 5, Romeo India Papa.
Chris, it's Whiskey Alpha 5, Romeo India Papa. Yes, we did have a pretty good, but small net. We had a nice little chat for a little while last week, and things are. We continue to do this tradition. I'll say it that way. I think we even had a food porn section. I'm not sure if that was correct or not, because it was last week, and I'm hard pressed to remember what I did this morning. But I just want to ask you a question. I'm enjoying the slideshow that you had up earlier. And it reminded me of how similar you look to your father at different ages. So I never really noticed that before, because a lot of the pictures you showed before when he was much older. And now that I'm looking back at some of the pictures from earlier, you do favor each other quite a bit. I guess you favor him. I did want to ask a question about the tanks that are in those pictures. I don't quite understand what they look like. I know in here they look almost like tanks that you would use at a dairy farm for milking, but I'm pretty sure that may not be it. So if you can enlighten me on that, I'd certainly appreciate it. I'm always full of questions and asking about things I look at. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Chris. We'll get on with the rest of the net. Whiskey Alpha 5, Romeo India Papa.
Yeah, Mike 7, Charlie Sierra, as I'm fiddling around with that live stream. But yeah, those tanks, basically where my father worked his day job, he was a store supervisor. But of course, the company he worked for, they made oil refinery systems. So it's drilled out, and then of course, yeah, those tanks would be kind of filled with sand. And then, of course, yeah, the water would go through there and take the oil out of it. And then be returned back to the sea. That's what they are, those tanks are. And of course, yeah, everyone does say that I look like my father in his younger days. Of course, yeah, I'll never shake that one off. Yeah, it's all good there. And of course, some may get the pun in the older days of, yeah, the character from up there. We'll go round to KC3, Zulu Uniform Quebec. John.
Yeah, this is Kilo Charlie 3, Zulu Uniform Quebec. I was just looking at your QRZ page, and the photo of I guess the town where you live is absolutely beautiful. That looks like a very, very nice place to live. Yeah, I really don't have much to add. I enjoy listening to all you folks talking, and so I'm just going to sit back and listen again. This is KC3ZUQ.
Yeah, Mike 7, Charlie Sierra, not a problem there. And yeah, when you have such a brain thing, you think, yeah, the time that I put on there. Yeah, that is actually, I'm trying to look and have a look now, and yeah, that's on my M7 page. So that is Shirlington. Yeah, it's a look of Shirlington by the looks of it. I believe that's what I put on there. It's overlooking off to the church down hill. But of course you can see a little spire of a church, and of course has the houses and a pylon. So yeah, I put that on there, and yeah, sometimes you forget some of the stuff you put on there. And yeah, I'm looking at it, the little QRP antenna. Yeah, it's still in service, but of course, yeah, I'm using a bigger one than that now. The antennas are sorted, so I've not updated that. But of course, I've had a lot going on. But of course, yeah, now I've got two QRZs, so I've got M7CCS, but insert a W in it, MW7CCS. Yeah, of course, you get me original QRZ with about when, of course, at the time that it was written and what was going on, and it shows you a little bit more about me and some of the stuff that I've done on there. So I have got two there, and of course, yeah, you might have wondered on that question, the Wales Ragchew Net, and yeah, the guys from a place in England. That's all good. So we go round to GW5 VOG. Round to you there, Steve.
GW5 VOG returning. Yeah, thank you, Chris. Well, you'll be glad to know I've sorted myself out a little bit now. I managed to get up out of the chair, stagger to where my glasses were, which was in a coat in the cloakroom, and put them on so I can see now. I put the live stream on as you told me you were doing it, and then I noticed the screen was a bit dim, and so when I looked, the tablet that I was looking at it on only had 2% charge left, so it's not my day today, I can't win. Okay, I saw all this stuff about Blackpool on the live stream and all that. As you know, I'm coming. I'm still on tenterhooks to know what the present you've got for me is. It's probably either something to do with timing out, I think. That's what I suspect now. Anyway, I've been doing a little research for Blackpool for your 145 Alive. I've been looking at higher ground near the town centre. So I found a couple of 43 metres above sea level. So, and that's about 10 miles away from the hotel where you're transmitting from. The other one is a bit lower, about 32 metres, and that's about 1.5 miles from where you're transmitting from. So there we are, sussed out where I'm going to try and get you from. So, M7CCS from GW5 VOG, back to you, Chris.
Yeah, Mike 7, Charlie Sierra. Well, I'll tell you what. If I set it, of course, yeah, we'll talk about Blackpool a little bit. So, on Saturday, as well as the Ragchew Net, earlier in the afternoon, I'm coming together with a friend of mine, Stuart, M7SPI, from South Lanark Amateur Radio Club. And, of course, yeah, what we're going to do is we're putting a 145 Alive station on, so that's antenna-to-antenna contact on the 2 meter band. But of course, the one thing about it is we're going to be right outside the hotel, Steve. There's going to be quite a few amateurs. I believe there's going to be a few amateurs around the hotel. And of course, yeah, there was a meeting earlier this week with the organisers of the rally, and I was told some feedback from there that, of course, yeah, it is pretty much don't think the figure is correct. I did have a correct figure, but so this may not be a correct figure, but I think it was about 80% of the hotel is booked up by amateur radio operators. So I'm sure there's going to be a few handers around, aren't there? But yeah, that's all good. And of course those distance contacts, hopefully get those around the area as well. So we go round to Rod, G0, EUZ.
G0, EUZ. Back to the group. I'll tell you what, Chris, if they've all got a handheld each, you're going to be really busy. You could do with somebody, or several people to do your logging for you. It'll certainly be good fun anyway. But I know there'll be a few people to be able to help, won't there? And I'm going to try and take part, but I know from last time I didn't do very well. I heard a lot of amateurs on, but I couldn't hear the controls. But this time I'm just going to shout in when I hear somebody on that frequency, and you know, maybe they'll patch me through. So we'll try and, you know, make more contacts that way. So I'm looking forward to it, really. I did actually, last time I did it, I put up a telescopic mast with a 2-meter antenna on the top, you know, which got it a good deal higher than I normally have it. So, yeah, it was all right. And it's not too tiring, is it? You know, is it 12 till 2, something like that? Maybe 12 till 3, I can't remember. Then, of course, we'll have the live feed over here. Are you doing it from the RNLI like last year? Sure, that'll be interesting. So what else is there? I say I've not done a great deal, taking the dog out. We've got a dog field booked for an hour tomorrow, because we're going to take our dog, my daughter's dog, which is our dog. And they have now got another one, which turns out to be the sister to our 2 dogs. So, but she's a little bit funny at the moment with other dogs, so that's why we booked an hour. So we'll do our 2 dogs for an hour, and then for half an hour, and then we'll bring her out and see if we can get her to mix a bit. So that'll be interesting. I did see her last Wednesday, but she barked at me quite a lot. She wasn't very happy with me. So back to you, Chris. Oh, just by the by, I did QRZ on you, and it just kept throwing up CCU for some reason. I could do MW7CCS, but every time
Yeah, Mike 7, Charlie Sierra, thanks very much there. And yeah, I don't know what one it was that you kept getting, but yeah, M7CCS, yeah, it definitely does exist. It's managed by my MW7CCS page as well. But I know if I search for it, not logged in, I find it. Not logged in most of the time, me. But it's all good. So what I'm going to do, we're down to the bottom of the list, so I'm going to see if anyone else who would like to join us in the Wales Ragchew Net. If you would, go ahead with your call sign, name and location, and an over.
C6, Foxtrot Golf November, location is South Wales, in a little called Blainwoodley. I'm currently sitting on QTH right now. Yeah, not been very busy this end just lately. Just got my car back after it's been in the garage for 6 months. So it feels a bit strange driving that car now since I've had big cars to drive around in and gone back to my Citroen. But due to changes, so that's not too bad. been busy doing other things as well with the family and everything else. Not having much radio time just getting in at the moment. But I remember the Ragchew Night tonight, so I managed to get in here for a couple of minutes. So back over to you there, Chris, from Mike Whiskey 6, Foxtrot Golf November.
Yeah, Mike 7, Charlie Sierra. Well, it is good to hear you there, Neil. And I'm guessing you must have gone past Darrell's house, or Darrell went past your house, because you're talking on a radio. So it's all working there, and yeah, sounding good as well. And so that's all good there, Neil. So I've got you in the log, so I'm going to see if anyone else would like to join us. So if anybody else would like to join in on the Wales Ragchew Net, go ahead with your call sign, name and location, and over. Okay, left a nice big gap there. So we're going to go straight round to James in Echolink 30 Victor Whiskey Juliet. Round to you there.
20 Victor Whiskey Juliet returning. Yes, it's I'm going to have to get my radio sorted out because I'm going to beat up the Echolink man or something. But yeah, it's been a lot of racing around lately. It's all a bit been flat quite fast. The weeks go so quick. I got to remember what actually happened. But there you go. It's better than being bored, I suppose. But I nipped into on the foodie thing. I nipped into the supermarket on the way over to the boat. Get some groceries in, ready for when my friends arrive. And I'm aware that a lot of the joints for meat are heavily reduced. Well, that's Christmas, but I didn't realise they were also reduced at this time. Yeah, that was quite interesting. I don't know whether it was a Mother's Day thing or an Easter thing, but there was joint support going at half price. It was like £2.50 a kilo, so it was very reasonable indeed. So I made advantage of those purchases. That sort of helped the things along a bit. And yeah, just been racing around. I managed to get here and light the stove and nearly smoke myself out. Not quite sure what happened there, but decided to send the smoke through the room instead of out the chimney. And it's always the way, isn't it? When you're in a hurry and you're racing around, you're going to have to contend with the old smoke alarm and fling all the doors open. It has nothing to do with it, it will behave itself. But there you go. And anyway, I'm finally, like Steve, I think I've finally got myself settled in the chair now without all this chasing about. And it's good to hear everybody on. And I'll put it back to you, Chris, from 20 PWJ.
Yeah, Mike 7, Charlie Sierra. Well, yeah. Well, at least there's one thing when you got to open the boat up and the smoke alarm's going off and everything else. You introduce yourself to the neighbours a bit quickly, don't you? So that's one way. But yeah, now you're settled and now you're warm. And yeah, Simon's listening, Sooty, anyone else. Yeah, take note. You know, when you light a log burner in a tent or in a boat, it can sometimes go the other way. So yeah, take note of that one. So that's just a little joke, but I believe they were on about buying an operations tent with a log burner in it for this year. So yeah, we'll see how that one goes, but hopefully you don't end up with a smoky shack. So I suppose it all depends on what you're burning as well. So that's all good there, James. So we go around to Michael, Whiskey Alpha 5, Romeo India Papa.
thanks, Chris. This is Whiskey Alpha 5, Romeo India Papa. I'm going to give a quick update on my wife. She's been having I don't remember exactly the last update I gave, but I know that she's been having sudden drops in minerals like magnesium, potassium, and phosphorus. I didn't even know that was a mineral that was in your body, but it is, and it keeps your body going. If you don't have them, bad things can really seriously happen. Hers drops into the danger zone very quickly. So the infinite wisdom of the doctors, they've decided to do a PET scan Friday, and to see, because their synopsis was, or theory was, that it was a tumor somewhere in her body that was causing these sudden drops. And so she had a PET scan on Friday, and that goes into the cellular level looking for cancer or tumors. And the preliminary analysis of it is so far is that she's cancer-free and tumor-free. So it's go back to the liver that has been failing for the last year, and it's causing all of her problems. And then with that, the spleen tries to take over for the liver, and it also doesn't do a great job. So we're back to that point now. So hopefully, before long, we're going to be strengthening her bones, which is another thing she has to do in the steps, and doing some dental work so she can get herself on the liver transplant list. That's where we're at that, and I'm probably talking way too long, so I'm going to turn it back to you, Chris. Whiskey Alpha 5, Romeo India Papa.
Yeah, Mike 7, Charlie Sierra, trying to do this without too much echo, and acknowledge there Stuart M7CCS, keying up there, so I have added you onto the bottom of the list there. Yeah, that's all good there, Michael, and yeah, at least it's brilliant. It's all cancer-free and everything as well. That is good. Yeah, strange one yesterday, actually. Me and Donna, we did our deed yesterday. I decided to go over to the other house to go and get some post, and we turned round the corner, and yeah, there's a lady there on the floor with her dog, and we thought, she's not meant to be led down there. Yeah, we helped her up, got her to her house. She was a little bit shaken. We went back round, went to go and check on her and whatever, had a little chat, and yeah, turned out she was 100 years old and 7 months. She was all okay, just felt a little bit bruised, but if she'd have fallen on the big curve, that could have all been a different story. We go round, see if John's still with us. KC3, Zulu Uniform Quebec.
Yeah, I'm still here. KC3, Zulu Uniform Quebec. Just listening in. Just something for Michael. My wife had a blood test, and we had to go see the oncologist, thinking that it was going to be multiple myeloma. However, it was not that. It was something called MGUS, and it seems like more people have MGUS than they do multiple myeloma. So they may need to do a bone marrow check on your wife, and it's uncomfortable, but so I'm sure the doctor has that in mind. But I just wanted to pass that along to you. Other than that, nothing else really to say. I'm just sitting here enjoying listening to you folks talk. So I'm going to send it back to you. This is KC3ZUQ.
Yeah, Mike 7, Charlie Sierra, thanks very much there, John, and yeah, I've marked you as listening now. So we go round to Steve now, GW5, VOG.
GW5 VOG returning. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, Michael, at least that's some good news for your wife there. Let's hope the rest of her treatment goes well and progresses soon. Yeah, we're talking about the Blackpool Rally. Well, tomorrow here in South Wales, there's a rally. The Pencoed and District Amateur Radios thingy are having a rally. There's only one other person on the nets in South Wales, I think, which is Neil, who I believe is in Blaengwynfi. That's not too far away from Sarn, is where it's not in Pencoed anymore. They have it in Sarn, where the motorway service area is on the M4 in South Wales, in our end of South Wales anyway. And yeah, it's at 10 o'clock, so I shall be going. I'll be getting up a little bit earlier than I usually do and driving my way down there, so that'll get me in practice for Blackpool. I haven't been to many rallies the last few years because I think, you know, I'm in Raynet and they keep organising events on the same day as the rallies that I want to go to, and if they don't clash, then my wife usually manages to organise a trip for me, so I can't go. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow. And at my own club, we're having a rally in May, so that's another one in South Wales. Yeah, I've got your live stream back on now because I've got it on my phone. Yeah, so I'm looking at that, and I'm actually my DStar dashboard. I've got it on my wife's posh computer, which I thought I might try, and it's a MacBook. And I'm not sure how to use it, but it's very nice colours, I must say. With that, back to you, Chris, M7CCS from GW5VOG.
Yeah, Mike 7, Jolly Sierra, laughing at you saying you don't know how to use the MacBook, but I've got my DStar up on it. But yeah, that's all. Use it as a display. So that's another thing. I can use my little 3.5 in yours, but I can use the browser, so I can use it as a little live display, couldn't I? So we go around to Roger G0 EUZ.
G0 EUZ back to the group. Yeah, the only trouble with the 3.5 is everything's so small, isn't it? I tried the hand clock on a 7-inch, and I found that too small. So I have it on a 21-inch telly at the moment, and that's quite reasonable. Although I'm never in the shack to see it, so that's the stupidity of it, really. Aldi have some 15-inch portable displays on a couple of weeks ago, and I got one, and I've not actually used it. So I had a look at it, and that's about as far as I got with it. So the idea was to put that on the hand clock to save a bit of space, because the 21-inch TV actually takes up quite a lot of shelf space in the shack. But like I say, if I don't spend a lot of time in the shack, it's not a great problem, is it? So I'm sorry to hear about Kathy's predicament. It's obviously not getting better, is it? And I think until she gets the transplant, she's going to continue suffering, isn't she? It's surprising how much the liver does in the body, processing virtually everything, isn't it? So let's hope that that speeds itself along. So yeah, nice rally tomorrow. That'll be good. My local rally is at the end of the month. I think it's the 27th, if I remember rightly. So that's. I always go to that. I might even take a stand, actually. I've got a few bits and pieces. I think last time I did it, it was a £3 entry fee, but it was £6 for a stand. So it was worth taking the stand, you know. the only trouble was you had to put everything back in your car while you had a look round. So I don't know. We'll make our minds up. But I certainly wouldn't use the bring and buy. I found that was too expensive. So, right, back to you, Chris. M7CCS G0.
Yeah, Mike 7, Charlie Sierra. Thanks very much there, Rod. Next we're going to go round to Neil, if you're still with us. Mike Whiskey 6, Foxtrot Golf November. Then round to Stu, M7SBI. So we'll go round to Neil. Mike Whiskey 6, Foxtrot Golf November.
Whiskey 6, Foxtrot Golf November. Let's see Chris and with the user on the net. Which is fucking sorry. That was going to say. The gentleman was saying about the and he said I think he said there was one his club's going to be holding. I'm pretty interested to know where his club would be and where that rally would actually be held. I'd actually make it down to the Pencoy one, unfortunately, but I think I went there once and that was it. But back over to you there, Chris, from Mike Whiskey 6, Foxtrot Golf November.
Yeah, Mike 7, Charlie Sierra. Yeah, I'm not sure on the mileage between you and Steve. But I think it might be a little bit. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head now. Of course, so Steve is he's a little bit further away from you. I think he's going to be driving to South Wales to go to some of these rallies. We go round to Stuart now, M7SPI. Round to you there, Stuart.
970 Papa New Executive. I'm just a program with Radio Corporate. I'm just setting the weather to actually get 3 to press 97 Sierra 0, 97 Charlie 0, and from 970 Papa India.
Yeah, Mike 7, Charlie Sierra, yep, can hear you there. There's a little bit of echo on there. I think it might be overdriving, but just slightly. Can definitely hear you there. Back over to you there, Stuart, M7SPI.
Sierra Papa.
Yeah, Mike 7, Charlie Sierra. It dropped out a little bit there. It's not a problem if you want to go again there. You might have just slipped off the PT. He's broke it. Hi. What we do, we give a quick call out, we see if anybody else is there, and if not, we will go back to the top of the list. So, if you'd like to join in with the Wales Ragchew Net, go ahead with your call sign, name and location, and over. Okay, nothing heard. So, we go back to James, 2E0, Victor Whiskey Juliet.
2E0, Victor Whiskey Juliet. Yes, I think it won't be next week because I'm back on the boat, but I think I'm going to have to see if I can make communication on the radio. That'll make a change. But the visit in Spain was quite interesting. It was a bit tricky to get through the bureaucracy. So, but I would be very curious to actually take an HF radio over there, especially with moving around from place to place. That'll be quite interesting, actually, doing the HF. We're quite low on solar. I do up the winter sunshine, so I haven't had them that long, so I've used it at different times of year, so I had improved the solar. I put a new controller on it, and that sort of doubled the amount of power coming in, which I thought would be perfect, but of course I lost sight of the winter sun bit. But yeah, I've got lithium, so if I've got enough solar, I should be off grid, no problem. I mean, I didn't have a problem before, but I think it was very hand to mouth, what I was using. So that'll be quite interesting to take an HF radio. But down for the graph-based distance learning for the full license, I think to get a reminder email around June, and then I think it's the end of the year, August and September or something. So I hope I'm not racing around as much as I am now, because obviously I'll have to put a bit of time into that. And so yeah, that'll be interesting. Whether I'll pass it is another story, but we'll see. It might be a bit of government station, but I don't know. No pun intended. But yeah, and Rod, I get what you mean about not being in the shack. My shack's down in the cellar, and it's sort of although it's warm and dry and heated down there, it's you've always got to go there, as it were. You know what I mean? And you're sort of like you're trying to sort of monitor radio. I could do with it being in the sitting room. I guess you've got a bit of a remote setup there going on. I mean, I can turn it on in the cellar and hear it, but obviously my arm not long enough to reach the dials, But there we go. Anyway, I won't hold it. I'll put it back to you, Chris, from 20VWJ.
Mike 7, Charlie Sierra. Well, the one thing that can be your friend is the browser Google Chrome. So you install that on, your shack PC, any PC that you'd like to remote to it with. And you can actually, you'll need the two together at first, or we'll have to run between the two or whatever. But you can pretty much sync them up. You'll be able to remote into it. I can remote into my system, into the gateway PC, from a mobile phone, from anywhere that I've got internet. I can remote into the gateway. I can remote into any of the PCs that are sat in my shack. So essentially, when it's it is getting warmer, isn't it? So I might have to connect up the HF radio. I might have to connect it up to the power supply, the 706. You can pretty much with a Chromebook even sit out on the seat in the sun and play FT8. You don't have to be confined into the shack if you can remote operate it. Especially if you've got all the right stuff to control your radio. It controls your radio anyway. An auto-tuner I would suggest, because then you transmit for a second and then it tunes. If you've got auto-tune, I put that enabled. You can pretty much remote and play to your heart's content on FT8, but you don't have to be down in your cellar, as you call it. You could even probably, I don't know how it comes under remote operation now, but it's probably in a loophole somewhere. You could probably operate FT8 from home on your boat. Something to look into there, James. So we go round to Michael, Whiskey Alpha 5, Romeo India Papa.
Thanks, Chris. This was Alpha 5, Romeo India Papa. And John, I just wanted to update the issues my wife is having. It all started with several years ago with rheumatoid arthritis, which attacks all different parts of your body, so including her iron and blood and platelets and things like that. So she has had a bone marrow test, along with all the other variety of tests. She also had problems with her kidneys at one point, and now it's attacking the liver, and is basically turned her liver into cirrhosis of the liver. and so that's the reason we're looking to get a liver transplant. Okay, food porn time. It's at the bottom of the hour, so I thought I'd go ahead and let you in. My wife was feeling well enough to do a little salmon fillets on a bed of spinach with jasmine rice on the side. Very good. I love salmon. Salmon's one of the best things, and she pan fries it with a little bit of olive oil and some seasonings. And so she's made plates of that so that we can have it whenever we want. We can see it up in the microwave and go. She also, because she cooks ahead, she cooked some meatloaf earlier in the year, and we pulled it out, and that's what I had for lunch today. Meatloaf with hominy, which is a derivation of corn, and Brussels sprouts. I know that's probably Chris's favorite, Brussels sprouts, because I know he loves all the green vegetables. But that's my food porn for the day. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Chris. Whiskey Alpha 5, Romeo India Papa.
Yeah, Mike 7, Charlie Sierra. Well, of course, yeah, apparently I've just been told I do love all the green vegetables now. But, yeah, I do like green things, as you know, Michael. But, yeah, it's all good now. So, we're going to go round to Steve now, GW5, VOG.
GW5VOG returning. Thank you, Chris. I think Neil was asking. Neil, I'm in Penarth, just outside Cardiff, and yeah, my local radio club is the Barry Amateur Radio Society, or BARS, and which strangely not wrongly named BARS. Anyway, the rally is on Saturday, the 17th of May. So I think most rallies seem to be on Sunday, but we like to have it on Saturday for some reason. And I'm the secretary of the club, so I get involved a bit in organising it and that sort of thing. I'll be there. It's always a sort of very nervous feeling. You always think, oh, what if no one turns up? But people always do. Surprises me how many turn up. And we make a modest amount of money out of it. We're very fortunate that we get the venue for nothing, although they are getting a bit, they're sort of tightening up on that, and we've got to pay for the staff member from the club at the venue, which is our QTH normally. Anyway, we've got to pay for a staff member to come in at 8 o'clock in the morning and open it up and that sort of thing. And I don't think they'll leave us there on our own, so he has to stay. So we've got to pay his wages. So we are paying out something this year. But hopefully we'll still make a few, mostly, I think. So that's a good thing. So back to you then, Chris, M7CCS from GW5VOG.
Yeah, Mike 7, Charlie Sierra. Thanks very much there, Steve. And yeah, for clarifying, that was Steve, for Neil even, from Steve. So, right, we go round to Rod now, G0, EUZ.
G0, EUZ returning. Yeah, as regards remoting, yeah, I have the ICOM software. So, time I want to use it, the audio won't work. By the time I've got it sorted so as the audio's working or the mic's working, I've had enough and I give up. But I do remote into one of the PCs in the shack. But using TeamViewer, which is free for personal use. and that works nicely. I can do FT8. The only thing is there's no audio, but that doesn't matter really, does the audio on FT8 is a distraction. So yeah, but I don't do it an awful lot, and I need to have a camera set up on that PC to look at the rig to make sure that the antennas are switched correctly, because sometimes they don't. And then I want to go on a band that and the antenna's on a different socket, so that is a problem. But yeah, I do it occasionally. Just haven't been bothered of late. What else was there? Yeah, good luck, Neil, with the exam. It's worth doing. Just for satisfaction and knowing you've done it. I don't think it gains you an awful lot in radio terms. Obviously, there's a lot of knowledge that comes. Yet, anyway. I couldn't pass it now. I mean, I passed it in 1985 or 86. I certainly couldn't pass it now. But maybe if I read the books, I might be, so I don't know. Anyway, back to you, Chris. M7CCS G0EUZ.
Mike 7, Charlie Sierra, thanks very much there, Rod. We'll go right to Neil if he's still with us. Mike Whiskey 6, Foxtrot Golf November.
Whiskey 6, Foxtrot Golf November still with you, which makes a change actually. I've not been called or anything like that, so I'd a bit of time myself this evening, which makes a change. Quite enjoying it actually. I don't know, I get too used to it though. But that's another story again. There we are. Oh no. Well, it is Chris anyway. But yeah, I'm enjoying the peace and quiet for 5 minutes. I've just cooked some mince for my daughter. They're going to take over and carry on with that now. So I've just sat down in my chair in the shack. I've just put the computer screen on. So I am looking at my dashboard at the moment. I'm not loading anything else up. I'm at a brand new tower. My tower that I used to have problems with, as you were well aware, has finally given up the ghost. So I've forked out on a new tower. So I've got to install that when I get 5 minutes to myself. So I'll probably do it later on or something like that. But I want to re-blitz the shack, which is never ever a good thing, because it means I've got to take everything out to put everything back in a respectable order. At the moment, it's like a little tip. But there we are. Isn't everybody's shack after a while? Back over to you there, Chris, from Mike Whiskey 6, Foxtrot Golf November up in Blankwoodley.
Yeah, Mike 7, Charlie Sierra, right. I hope you remember to label everything this time. Yeah, it's all good there. Yeah, it's good that the radio's working and the hotspot, so yeah, don't touch it unless it says update in the corner. But yeah, don't touch it otherwise. We'll go round to Stuart. Hopefully you sorted the problem out from last time. M7 SPI. Okay, nothing heard. So what I'll do is I'll see if anybody's on the side that would like to join us. If they would, go ahead with your call sign, name and location. Okay, we go back to the top of the list then. We go to James 2E0, Victor Whiskey Juliet.
Victor Whiskey Juliet returning. Yes, Rod, you're right. right. I don't think getting the full license would benefit me very much, really. I mean, there's the extra power, but I think the changes have benefited people there on the lower license levels, but that big power jump for the full license seems it's a lot, you know, and if you're into that, then great, but you know, all these amplifiers and things are quite expensive, I think. But for me, I think the key thing is I can transmit in Spain and France. That would be quite nice, and so that's the carrot for me, really. But there you go. We'll see what's. I'm curious. I'm a bit worried. I've sort of. It'll be like a year or so since I did the intermediate. Well, whether I've sort of like, you know, gone backwards, not forwards. You know, I'll start remembering stuff. And I did look at the book, and it didn't seem to. It seemed to sort of almost go on a different sort of topics. You know, it didn't really. You'd think it would sort of follow on in more depth over again what you've already learned, but when I read the book, I don't recall it doing that particularly, so we'll see. But I think it's going to be worth it with the course, because I forget what's involved, but I think you've got to give up a couple of hours a week. I think there's sort of video Zoom meetings and things like that, and I think you actually get assigned some sort of tutor buddy that you can email and nag to death if you can't understand something. So we'll see. Like I say, I just hope we've got the time when it comes to the crunch, but I'm sure I'll squeeze you in somehow or other. But there you go. And the food porn, well, this week I actually tend to cook a lot of stuff from scratch myself. And it's usually whatever comes to mind. And I decided to cook a sort of a milder sort of curry, but I did a chicken curry with coconut in it. So that was very nice indeed. Just sort of made just a bit of a sauce and then thickened it up with some coconut and some cream. Very tasty. Anyway, I'll put it back to Chris from 20VWJ.
Yeah, Mike 7, Charlie Sierra, thanks very much there, James. So we'll go back round to Michael, Whiskey Alpha 5, Romeo India Papa.
Well, thanks, Chris. Whiskey Alpha 5, Romeo India Papa. I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, but last weekend we had a lot of sun activity, and it's kind of been off and on all week long. My FE8 contacts, QSOs have been down. Some mornings, some of my single sideband chats have been really noisy, no matter what I do with the filtering or anything like that. But I don't know if it's my area of the globe or what, but I've just been noticing a lot of it. Some days it's quiet, some days it's very noisy, very unsettled if I follow the sunspot activity. I know we had that one thing last weekend, and like I say, really toning everything down. I thought it mentioned something, and he released on ham radio from the food porn section, but I don't know if anybody else has noticed that also, because I'm on the radio most every day, and so I get a chance to get a good sampling of it. But this week has not been a great week, almost like the cycle number 24 at times. And now that, I'll turn it back to you, Chris. Whiskey Alpha 5, Romeo India Papa.
Mike 7, Charlie Sierra, when you try and pick up the mic instead of the speaker mic. Yeah, they don't seem even round this network, and 2356. Other than a couple of guys that get on in the morning, there's no one really around. Yeah, I've noticed it decline a little bit locally as well. But of course, yeah, it picked back up, and of course, yeah, we are going through time zone changes at the minute and stuff like that as well, aren't we? Yeah, in the UK, of course, yeah, that thing in the sky, the sun, it seems to be coming out a little bit more. So people are going and doing things with that. So, right, we'll go round to Steve next. DRG.
GW5VOG returning. Yes, Michael, I've noticed FT8's had some bad patches the last few days and can't get any contacts. But then all of a sudden you get too many, which always annoys me. You know, when you call CQ and then about 4 people reply and you end up losing 3 of them. That's very annoying, I think. I used to use, talking about remote control, Google Remote Desktop to do FT8. I did it for like a few days, let's put it like that, and then my computer broke. So it took me a while to get another one and set it up and everything, and then I never put it back on it. So I didn't find enough motivation just to have the facility to sit on the settee and do FT8. It seemed to be that amazing. But my local radio club, again, coming back to that, Barry Amateur Radio Society, we've got a flex in our shack, and we can all, or some of us, we have to pay a little bit extra, join the sort of section to get access to it. We can get access to that. We're using AnyDesk and whatever the flex programming is that gives you remote. I can't remember what it's called. I haven't actually used it much yet. It's a little bit complicated, but it's very, very good. The flex system is great. Flex radios are amazing, I think. And it's pretty good when you remotely go into it. It's exactly like when you're sat in front of the radio in the shack. So yeah, it's good. So we've got that to come. We're talking about sun activity as well. We had a partial eclipse of the sun. I don't know if anyone else in the UK did see it, but apparently we had one. And just a little message for Rod. Did you find your WinCam battery? Because I've got an FT818. So if you find it and you want to get rid of it, give me a shout and I might buy it off you. So with that, M7CCS from GW5VOG in a group, back to the net controller, Chris.
Mike 7, Charlie Sierra. Well, wouldn't it be lovely to be able to flex into a flex radio? Remote in. Yes, that's, like I said, I've mentioned Google Chrome Remote, and of course, yeah, that's a free one. So of course, yeah, it does work. So that's a way, but yeah, not everyone could get away with being sat on the sofa on FT8. But yeah, do you want to be sat inside when it's sunny outside? But of course, then you've got that sunspot where you can make those contacts. Of course, yeah, my answer to it is normally, yeah, the Chromebook gets charged up and I'll do my FT8 on there. And I get the noise come through as well. Yeah, I don't always need that. We will now go round to G0 EUZ.
G0 EUZ, back to the group. Yeah, the power thing really is not. I don't think that it's not important. I mean, over the years I've had 3 linears. I've currently got one which just sits there. It's been over 3 years, not been switched on. Well, I do switch it on every now and again and let it warm up, but I haven't transmitted on it. And the only time I actually found it useful was on 40 and 80 when you know you gave out a good loud signal. No more rest points, but you know a booming signal. So it was worth it. But I've had, you know, like I say, I've had really big linears at different times. But to be honest, I find that they're not worth the effort. You're worried about TVI, etc. And my problem is very poor antennas. There's not much point in putting a big signal out if you receive. So yeah, that's interesting. Michael, I forgot to mention the food. That salmon sounded very nice indeed. We do have it every now and again, but we don't have a full salad. A little piece. And we always have it with rice, actually. So yeah, it's very nice indeed. I haven't had nothing in particular this week. I had a butter chicken, which was a ball from Aldi, and last night I had another one bought from Aldi, which was a slow cooked brisket. And that was very nice, and I had that on a fresh baguette, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. But I wouldn't want it every week, so I'll have to think of what to have next week. And Steve, yes, I have found that the Wincam. It was in the carry case that I used to keep the 818 in. So yeah, I'll make a contact. I've actually put it on eBay today, but I'll take it off eBay. I'll contact you soon, and we can sort that out. M7CCS G0 UZ.
Mike 7, Charlie Sierra, Delboy moment there, hi. But yeah, all good. So, yeah, I managed to, on this little 3.5-inch screen now, because of course it's got 4 Raspbian on it, hasn't it? So it's not in complete weight. I just realised that with the Raspberry Pi and a little bit of Blue Tack, I can probably just stick it on the front of my power supply. Yeah, I can see what's going through the gateway via my hotspot. But with yeah, the live caller screen on there, so yeah, that doesn't look too bad on there. And of course, yeah, it's 3.5 inches. It's actually, the screen on it is actually bigger than yeah, my FTM200 that I'm using now. It's bigger than the MD9600 screen as well. And so, of course, yeah, it gives a little bit of visual to it, doesn't it? Might inspire me to put the gateway in a box, maybe put that screen on the front. I'm not sure, but yeah, we play with these little project things, but yeah, it wasn't all plain sailing. I did have to play with the SSH screens and strings, and of course, yeah, to actually make it work, you have to turn something called SIP on as well, which is to do with like photo image output or something like that. So it's to put the screen out via the GPIO. But yeah, it does work pretty well there. So we'll go round to Neil now, Mike 6, Foxtrot Golf November.
Foxtrot Golf November, returning at you, Chris. I'm sitting in here and I'm I'm finding myself just pulling things out. I'm just, you know, bits and pieces of plot that I don't really need anymore. You know, you get them at the time thinking you need them, and when it comes to it, you don't do nothing with them. So, yeah, it's time to have a clear out, Chris. Not very good. Okay, my plans this week. What am I doing this week? Well, looking after my grandfather. I'm hoping to go to Paris tomorrow for a few hours. Quite looking forward to that. Breakaway. Yeah, nice little drive over to Paris, having my sister-in-law's. Spend a couple of hours there, and then head back over to Port Talbot to see my partner's sister down there, and then back home. So yeah, a good few hours out the house and away from the village there for me this morning. So I'm quite looking forward to it. Not enough time to do the shack as regards to tomorrow. Let's put it that way. I think I'll have plenty to do in the week just to start pulling things out and getting things back tidy, and trying to get a bit of organisation here at the moment, because I've not been in here for a while. Things have got dumped in here, and there's no organisation again. So I don't like that. Back over to you there, Chris. Mike Whiskey 6, Foxtrot Golf November.
Yeah, Mike 7, Charlie Sierra. Well, yeah, I'm not really going to my shack that, well, I'm not in the shack that often. And if I do, it's normally off a DMR radio or directly through the gateway. Yeah, I'm not always around the shack or using it. Actually, this Saturday is the one Saturday I didn't actually clean up the desk before actually doing the Ragchew. But then I'm not actually clicking everything on the live stream or anything. It's just going out there as a reference. Of course, yeah, I'm not under having to. If I was to be fully interacting with the live stream and putting the log out and everything else, yeah, I'd be fighting with the mouses around little bits. But of course, yeah. It's just one of them things, but we do get it back into order, and when it's back into order, it's a little bit better, and yeah, it is nice to operate in a little clean area, isn't it? So I'm going to try Stuart again, M7SPI. Let's try Stuart, M7SPI. Okay, there's nothing heard there, and I'm not going to call for any more check-ins. I know that Sooty, M7EMH, he is on the side, but he has got a cracking headache. I thought Sue had gone. But yeah, now he's going to have a cracking headache laughing. Of course, yeah, he's got a headache, but he is listening, is what I say. He said, what was it say? Just listening quietly, got a cracking headache, sounds and feels like elephants stamping around in there. So that must be on his head. And then, yeah, then I get a message that says, Neil, on side. And that's it in the W.D.R.G chat. But yeah, it's all good there. So Sooty has been listening now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the top of the list, and we are going to start the last over and 7-3. So we go up to 2-0 Victor Whiskey Juliet. Rain to you there, James, for your last over and 7-3.
Victor Whiskey Juliet returning for the 73 round. Yeah, that's made me laugh. Yeah, all the names and the call signs there, but the M6W station, when you said you was going off to Paris, I thought you said Paris, and I thought, wow, that's going to be a bit of a long way to go for a couple of hours. I was trying to work out how you get from South Wales to Paris and back in a day, even with the tunnel, could be tricky, so that made me laugh. And obviously my hearing isn't very good, and yeah, Susie, sorry to hear about such a big headache. Perhaps you ought to take a few paracetamols or something, wash them down with a relaxant or something, you know. But there you go. And the brisket, well, that pricked my ears up. I haven't cooked a brisket for a long time. I found that slow cooking, and I was reading about it recently, and there's certain I don't know what it is. The meat structure, it's got a special name, breaks down, only breaks down at low cooking temperatures, hence the slow cooking method for things like breast. And often people associate the cheaper cuts with not being such nice meat, but the more expensive cuts, say like silverside, they just become expensive because you can cook them quickly. And there was a sort of a fad on being able to do your roast dinner in an hour and a half or something. So, slow cooking not to be sneered at. In fact, you can get some better tasting meats on the still slow cooked there. But yes, I'll take 7-3 to all, and it's been great to hear everybody on, and a few new or well, saying necessarily new, but a few stations there that I haven't heard in recent weeks, should I say. Nice to hear a good variety, and 7-3 to Michael and those across the water, and I look forward to speaking to everyone next week and seeing what everyone's managed to achieve. So I'll say 7-3 to all, and great to hear you on, and I'll put it back to the net controller, Chris, from 2-0, DWJ.
Yeah, Mike 7, Charlie Sierra, yep, 7-3 to you there, James, and thanks very much, nice to catch you there. So we're going to go to Michael now, Whiskey Alpha 5, Romeo India Papa for your last over, and 7-3.
Thanks, Chris. Whiskey Alpha 5, Romeo India Papa. The time has passed way too fast. I didn't realize we'd already gone to an hour and a half. I've been enjoying listening to everybody else talk, and I've been enjoying talking. Rod, like I say, I like the salmon, and I usually like everything that you put out. Everything you talk about is always gets my mouth watering. But I may have to go downstairs and see what our options are for dinner tonight. Our tea, as you might call it. It's good to have myself and another person on this side of the pond representing North America and reading to the Ragchew Net. And it's always good to have everybody here. I enjoyed it and hope everybody has a good, safe week.
Now, Michael, but I wanted to ask you about salmon in the US. Over here, we eat mostly salmon that's been farmed, sort of kept in cages in Scottish locks, sea locks. So I know you can get wild salmon, but it's a lot more expensive, that sort of thing. But I wondered if you had farmed salmon over there, or if you go for the real, what is it, the Royal Chinook or something like that. Anyway, we can't talk about that tonight. Perhaps we remember that for food porn next week. Just like to say, Stuart over in Wigan, I did math-based distant learning and distant learning even, and it was very good. It's not that much work. I found it fairly hard to grasp everything, and I was very nervous when I took the exam, but then I found the exam was really a lot easier than I was expecting, so there we are, go for it, that's what I say. And anyway, yeah, 73 to everybody, and to you and all your families, and thank you, Chris, for being net controller tonight. Back in the hot seat once again. So M7CCS from GW5VOG, and back to you, Chris.
Thank
GEC or EUZ returning for a final. Yeah, Neil, yeah, the shacks, it doesn't seem to matter how often you do it. It always ends up a rat's nest of antenna cables. I mean, yeah, mine, because my shack is actually in a shed, which is inside an outbuilding. And everything has to come through one hole in the and it doesn't seem to matter how often I label them, the labels always fall off. And you know, when you're swapping antennas around from one radio to another, and you know, you just end up with a rat's nest. I mean, last time I did it, I put a new earth system in, I put a filter, mains filter in and everything, you know, and it all looked very nice, and there was just no cables, no coax visible, you know, but it didn't take long to go to pieces. So I always had in consoles, and all you see is the front of the radio. You know, they look really nice until, of course, you go and change something. You have to start all over. But if you're a good joiner, I suppose you've cracked it. Cabinet maker. Okay, everybody. We'll say 7 threes. Have a good week, and we'll catch you next week. Use it.
Yeah, Mike, 7 Charlie Sierra, yep, 7-3 to you there, Rod. G0EZ. Next we're going to go round to Neil. Mike Whiskey 6, Foxtrot Golf November. Round to you for your last over and 7-3.
Six Foxtrot Golf November, returning to you there, Chris, for my final and my 7-3 round. But yeah, I would like to say to Rod there, yeah, you're right. No matter what you do in a shack, you've always got cables here, there, and everywhere. And when you look on like Facebook, for instance, or any other clubs, and you see the pictures of their shacks, and you can't see any wires at all, and you're thinking, yeah, okay, that must be an absolute nightmare if something goes wrong and you have to replace it. You know, at least if you've got some wires hanging around, at least you've got a chance of following it and try and rectify the problem. But yeah, I'm going to stick to the way I've got it. I've got the cables visible, but it's so that I can follow through, and they are labelled from the last time. As you well know there, Chris, I made a bit of a mess, so I'm not going there again. But I think I'll keep the actual PCs where they are. It's just like everything else is going to be changing location, like on shelves and bits and pieces and in boxes and stuff like that. So I've got a bit more walking space, because as you know, Chris, the little room that I'm in, it used to be a food pantry years ago. So it's just literally a little walk-in cupboard that was used for junk before I turned it into my shack. But it's looking pretty much like a junk room again. So you can imagine there's a lot of work to be done. But as you well know, I'll usually get there in the end. It just takes me a bit of time. But yeah, it's been a pleasure coming on to the actual net tonight. I didn't think I was be able to, but I was. And hopefully I'll be able to join next week, so we'll see how it goes. Right. So from Mike Whiskey 6 Foxtrot Golf November, I'll say 7 3s for now, and everybody take care and stay safe.
Yeah, Mike Whiskey 7, Charlie Sierra. Thanks very much there, Neil. And, of course, yeah, you are last on the list. Well, other than City at M7EMH listening. So in the Wales Ragchew Net tonight, we had James 30 Victor Whiskey Juliet, Whiskey Alpha 5, Romeo India Papa, Michael, KC3 ZUQ, John, and we had GW5 VOG Steve, G0 EUZ Rod, and we had M7 SPI, he was testing a radio, I saw in my messaging, Stuart from Wigan, and we had M7EMH listening there on the side. I was Mike 7, Charlie Sierra. Thanks very much, everybody, whether you were watching or whether you are participating in that. So, 7 for all. Catch you later, and of course, yeah, catch Sooty on Wednesday. Of course, he's got his net on Wednesday there at 16:30. So 7 for all from Mike 7, Charlie Sierra.